Elias did not think his small decision would matter much. He was sitting on his dorm bed when the message arrived on his tablet. The university housing system politely asked if he would be willing to share his room for the rest of the semester. Space was limited. Exchange students were arriving faster than expected. Volunteers were appreciated. Elias almost ignored it. His room was small. One narrow window. 2 desks squeezed close together. A single shared bathroom down the hall that already smelled like bad cleaning chemicals. He liked his quiet space. He liked knowing where everything was. Sharing a room meant noise, rules, and awkward conversations. Then he read the last line. The incoming student is non-human. Elias stared at the words for a long moment. He read them again, slowly, to make sure his tired brain was not making things up. Non-human. An alien. One of the new visitors from beyond Earth. Part of the interstellar cultural exchange program that everyone had been talking about for months. Most students had watched the announcements with interest and fear. Aliens were real now. Not monsters, not invaders, just people. Different people. They came with translators, strange biology, and cultures that no human really understood yet. Elias felt his heart beat faster. He thought about declining. Many others would. He imagined rumors spreading through the dorms. Someone would take the offer. Someone always did. Someone braver, louder, more confident. But Elias had never been any of those things. He was quiet, observant, the kind of person who listened more than he spoke. He liked understanding how things worked, even when they made no sense at first. Before he could talk himself out of it, he pressed accept. The system thanked him. That was it. No fireworks, no alarms. Just a confirmation message and a scheduled arrival time for the next day. Elias lay back on his bed and stared at the ceiling. What did I just do? He whispered. The next morning, the dorm was louder than usual. Students gathered in the hallway, pretending not to stare. Security staff stood near the elevators, calm but alert. The air felt charged, like everyone was waiting for something important to happen. Elias stood inside his room cleaning, even though it was already clean. He moved the chair slightly. He adjusted the desk lamp. He wondered if alien students needed different lighting, or temperature, or air. He realized he had no idea what she would look like. The message said her name was Lyris. No species listed. Just non-human exchange student. That alone made his imagination run wild. When the door finally opened, Elias turned around so fast he nearly tripped. Lyris stood in the doorway, holding a single compact bag. She was almost human. That was Elias's first thought, and then immediately his second thought was how wrong that description was. She had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a familiar shape, but everything else felt slightly off. Her skin had a soft silver tone, smooth and faintly reflective. Her eyes were larger than human eyes, dark and calm, with no visible white. Her hair was long and pale, falling straight down her back like fine threads of light. She wore simple clothes provided by the exchange program. Plain, loose, and clearly designed for comfort rather than fashion. She looked around the room slowly, as if scanning every detail. This space is smaller than projected, she said. Her voice came out through the translator pinned to her collar. It was soft, clear, and emotionless, but not cold. Elias swallowed. Sorry, dorm rooms aren't great. She tilted her head slightly. Apology noted. No fault assigned. That was not what Elias expected, and for a second he did not know how to respond.
I'm Elias, he said finally.
Your roommate? I am Lyris, she replied.
Thank you for agreeing to cohabitation? Cohabitation. The word sounded very serious.
You can put your stuff wherever, Elias said, gesturing toward the empty desk. That side's yours. Lyris stepped into the room and placed her bag neatly beside the desk. She did not sit down. She just stood there, hands folded, eyes moving slowly.
Is there a problem? Ali asked.
No,
She said.
I am processing. Right. Elias sat on his bed to give her space. The silence stretched, but it did not feel uncomfortable in the usual way. It felt like Lyris was listening to the room itself. The soft hum of the air system, the distant voices in the hallway, the faint buzz of electronics. May I ask a question? She said.
Sure.
Elias replied. Why did you accept? The question surprised him. Accept what? This arrangement, Lyris said. You were not required to share your private living space. Elias thought for a moment. He could give an easy answer. He could say it was for extra housing credits or curiosity or kindness. Instead, he said the truth. I guess I wanted to know, he said slowly, what it would be like. Lyris studied him closely. That is not an efficient reason. He smiled awkwardly. Humans aren't very efficient. She paused. That statement matches preliminary data. The day passed quietly. Lyris unpacked with careful precision. Every item had a place. Elias noticed she did not bring personal decorations, photos, or comfort objects. Just tools, devices, and clothing. At one point, Elias offered her a chair. She looked at it. I do not require rest at this time. Oh. Okay, he said. Later, when Elias sat down to eat a simple meal, Lyris watched him closely. You consume nourishment while engaged in cognitive labor, she observed. Studying while eating? He asked. Yeah. Bad habit. Why do you continue a behavior you identify as suboptimal? She asked. Elias blinked.
I don't know. It helps me focus.
Kind of. She recorded something on her wrist device.
That became a pattern. Lyris asked questions, many questions. Why humans drank bitter liquids for enjoyment. Why they apologized even when nothing was wrong. Why Elias hummed quietly when he was stressed, even though he did not notice he was doing it. Elias answered as best as he could. Sometimes he laughed, sometimes he shrugged. Often, he simply said, I don't know. Lyris seemed deeply interested in those words. That night, the lights dimmed automatically. Elias lay in bed, unsure if he should say goodnight. Do you require darkness to enter rest state? Lyris asked. Yeah, he said. Mostly? She adjusted the lighting on her side of the room to match his. That was unnecessary, Elias said. You don't have to. I chose to, she replied. Shared space requires compromise. He smiled in the dark. As the hours passed, Elias drifted towards sleep. Just before he lost consciousness, he heard Lyris speak softly. Elias? Yeah? He murmured.
You accepted inconvenience without measurable gain, she said. I find this confusing. He smiled again. Too tired to think carefully.
Get used to it. Silence followed. In the quiet, Lyris lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her thoughts moving faster than any human could see.
Her species had studied humans for years from a distance. Charts, predictions, behavioral models, none of them had mentioned this. A species that chose discomfort, not for survival, not for power, but simply because it felt right. And that, Lyris realized, might be the most important data of all. Elias woke up to the soft sound of movement. For a moment, he thought he was still dreaming. The room felt different, too quiet, but also too awake. He opened his eyes slowly and turned his head. Lyris was standing near the window. She was perfectly still, except for her eyes, which were focused on the glass. Outside, the early morning light painted the campus in pale colors. Students walked below, laughing, yawning, rushing to class. Lyris watched them like a scientist watching a slow experiment.
You're up early, Elias said, his voice rough with sleep. She turned her head toward him.
I do not enter a full rest state.
My awareness only reduces. That sounds exhausting, he said, sitting up.
It is normal, she replied. Your rest cycle is more extreme. Yeah, humans kind of shut down, he said. Lucky us. She considered that. Possibly. Elias stretched and rubbed his face. He was suddenly very aware that he was sharing his room with someone who had watched him sleep. The thought felt strange, but not uncomfortable, just new. I hope I didn't snore, he joked.
What is snoring? Lyris asked. Never mind, he said quickly.
As Elias got ready for the day, he noticed something odd. Lyris copied him. When he brushed his teeth, she stood beside him, watching closely. When he adjusted his clothes, she adjusted hers. When he checked his tablet for class schedules, she activated her own device. Are you studying me? He asked.
Yes,
she said without hesitation.
Oh,
Elias replied. He paused. Like, officially? Yes, she said again. You are my primary human reference. That made his stomach twist in a way he could not explain. I'm not exactly the best example, he said.
You know that, right? You are an average human, she replied. That is precisely why you are valuable. That did not feel like a compliment, but Elias accepted it anyway.
They walked to class together. People stared. Some whispered. Others smiled, nervously. A few waved. Lyris noticed everything. Your species displays curiosity mixed with fear, she said. Why? Well, Elias said, you are an alien. That label seems insufficient, she replied. He laughed softly. Yeah, welcome to Earth. During class, Lyris sat perfectly still. She did not blink often. She absorbed information rapidly, recording everything. Elias struggled to keep up, yawning and taking messy notes. At one point, Lyris leaned slightly toward him.
You appear unfocused, she observed. Morning classes do that, he whispered.
Why schedule cognitive tasks during biological low points? She asked.
Elias smiled tiredly. We've been asking that question forever. After class, they sat outside under a tree. Elias drank coffee. Lyris watched the cup. You consume a substance that induces stress responses, she said.
Yet you seek it voluntarily?
Coffee keeps me awake, Elias said. And it tastes good. She tilted her head. Both statements seem contradictory. Humans are full of those, he replied. She recorded something, then paused. I have altered my data collection, she said. How? Elias asked.
I am no longer categorizing all behaviors, she replied. Some are being stored without immediate analysis.
That sounds, bad, he said. No, she replied.
It is unfamiliar. As the day went on, Elias noticed small changes. Lyris began asking fewer direct questions.
Instead, she watched. She noticed when Elias held the door open for strangers, when he apologized to someone who bumped into him, when he shared his notes with a classmate who looked stressed. These actions reduce your efficiency, she said at one point.
Maybe, Elias said.
But they help other people? Why is that relevant? She asked. He thought about it. Because we live together. Because tomorrow, I might need help too. She looked at him for a long time. That evening, Elias returned to the dorm exhausted. He dropped his bag on the floor and sat heavily on his bed.
Long day? Lyris asked. Yeah, he said.
Brains done. She walked to her desk and activated a small device. The lights shifted slightly, becoming warmer and dimmer.
What are you doing?
Elias asked. Adjusting environmental conditions, she said.
Your stress indicators suggest you require recovery.
Elias blinked. You didn't have to do that. I chose to. she replied. He felt that strange twist in his chest again. They ate dinner together in silence. Not an awkward silence, a comfortable one. Later, Elias tried to study but failed. He sighed loudly and closed his book. "Problem?" Lyris asked. "I don't get this concept," he admitted. "No matter how much I read it." "Explain it to me," she said. "That won't help," he replied. "Explain anyway," she said. So he did. Badly. He stumbled over words. He contradicted himself. He made mistakes. Lyris listened patiently. When he finished, she said, "You understand it?" "No, I don't," he said. "No." "You do," she insisted. "Your explanation lacked structure, but the core logic was correct." Elias stared at her. Then he laughed. "Humans are weird," he said. "Yes," she replied, "but effective." That night, Lyris sat on her bed, reviewing her notes. Her species valued clarity, prediction, and optimization. Humans were none of those things. And yet, Elias's data did not match the official reports. Humans were labeled unstable, short-lived, emotion-driven, low priority. But Elias had shown her something else: resilience, adaptation, cooperation without command, and something harder to define: meaning. The next day, Lyris received a message from her superiors. She read it silently while Elias packed his bag.
"Is something wrong?" he asked.
"They request preliminary conclusions," she said. "Oh," he replied. "Already?" "Yes," she said.
They are dissatisfied. With what? Elias asked carefully.
With humans, she replied. Your species does not score well. He nodded slowly.
"I figured."
"They believe humans contribute little to galactic stability," she continued. "Your emotional variability is seen as a weakness." Elias did not argue. He simply asked, "Do you agree?"
Lyris hesitated. "I am uncertain," she said.
"That word again!" Later that afternoon, Elias tripped on the stairs and dropped his books. Papers scattered everywhere. Before he could react, 3 students stopped to help him. Lyris watched as they gathered his things, smiling, joking, offering help without being asked. "No reward was offered," she said quietly.
"Yeah," Elias said. "That's just
normal." She looked at the students as they walked away.
On my world, she said, such behavior would require formal obligation. Elias shrugged. Sounds lonely. That night, as Elias slept, Lyris remained awake.
She reviewed thousands of data points. She compared models.
"She ran simulations. Humans should fail."
But they didn't. They bent. They broke. They rebuilt. They were inefficient, yes. But inefficiency allowed flexibility. Emotion allowed connection. Connection allowed survival, in ways no equation could predict. Lyris closed her data stream and stared at the ceiling again. For the first time since arriving on Earth, she felt something she could not categorize. Concern. If the Council dismissed humanity, they would never see what she was seeing. And if they never saw it, humanity would never know how close they were to being quietly forgotten. Lyris turned her head toward Elias, sleeping peacefully in the dim light. She had come to study humans. Somehow, without realizing it, she had started to care. And that, she suspected, was exactly the problem. Elias noticed the change before Lyris said anything. She became quieter, not silent. She still spoke, still answered questions. But something in her attention shifted. She watched Elias more closely now. Not just his actions, but his pauses, the moments when he hesitated before speaking, the way his shoulders relaxed when he laughed, the way he stared at nothing when thinking. "You are distracted," Elias said one evening as they walked back to the dorm.
Yes, Lyris replied, By what? He asked.
By probability, she said. He frowned.
That sounds bad.
It is unresolved, she said. Inside the room, Elias dropped his bag and sat down heavily. He had failed a quiz that day. Not badly, but enough to bother him. He rubbed his face and sighed.
I studied for that, he muttered.
You did, Lyris said.
Then why didn't it work? He asked, more to himself than to her.
Lyris paused. Human performance is not linear.
Tell me about it, he said.
She watched him for a moment, then spoke carefully.
On my world, failure is inefficient.
Systems are designed to prevent it.
Sounds nice, Elias said.
It is limiting, she replied. He looked up at her.
How so? If failure is removed, she said, adaptation slows.
Elias blinked. That's actually kind of deep. She tilted her head.
It is observable. That night, Elias stayed up late, trying again. He drank too much coffee. His eyes burned. His notes made less and less sense. At some point, Lyris quietly stood up and walked over. You should stop, she said.
I can't, Elias replied. I'll fall behind. You are already fatigued, she said.
Continuing reduces long-term effectiveness. Welcome to being human, he said weakly. Lyris reached over and gently closed his book.
Hey,
he protested.
You trust data?
She said. Trust this. She guided him back to his bed and adjusted the lights. Elias was too tired to argue. As he drifted off, he heard her speak softly. You try even when success is uncertain, she said.
Why?
He smiled faintly.
Because sometimes it works.
The next day, Lyris did something unusual. She skipped a scheduled observation session. Instead, she followed Elias to a volunteer center near campus. He had signed up to help repair old learning devices for local children. No reward, no credit. Just time. Lyris watched as Elias struggled with broken parts, laughed at his mistakes, and patiently explained things multiple times. These devices are outdated, she said quietly. New ones would be more efficient. Yeah, Elias said.
But these are what they have. That is acceptable to you?
She asked. Of course, he said. Something working is better than nothing. She recorded nothing.
That night, Lyris received another message. This one was not a request.
It was a warning. Her evaluation timeline was being shortened. The council wanted results. Clear conclusions. She sat at her desk long after Elias fell asleep. Humans were not impressive on paper. Their technology lagged behind. Their political systems were unstable. Their emotions caused conflict and error, but they also caused cooperation. Lyris replayed moments from the last few days, Elias helping without reason, strangers helping Elias without instruction, small acts repeated endlessly. No central command, no optimization, just choice. She began to understand the flaw in the council's models.
They measured power, not persistence.
The next morning, Lyris spoke before Elias could leave.
I must tell you something, she said. He froze.
That's never good. My species is evaluating whether humanity should be deprioritized, she said carefully.
Elias swallowed.
Meaning future cooperation would be minimal, she said. Observation would continue, but support would not.
He sat down, slowly. Because we're not good enough?
Yes,
she said honestly. He nodded. Figures. You are not angry, she observed. What would that change? He asked. She did not have an answer. Later that day, Elias failed the quiz again. He stared at the result, feeling hollow. I guess I'm just bad at this, he said quietly. No, Lyris said.
You are persistent. That doesn't help my grades, he replied. It helps your species, she said.
He laughed softly. Glad someone benefits. That evening, the power went out in part of the dorm. Students complained. Lights flickered. Systems failed. Elias grabbed a flashlight and went into the hallway. He helped others find their way. He shared spare batteries. He calmed someone who was panicking. Lyris followed silently. No one told Elias to do this. No one rewarded him. He just did it. When the power returned, people thanked him.
He waved it off. Anyone would have done it, he said.
Lyris knew that was not true. Back in the room, she stood very still.
You do not know the impact of your behavior, she said.
Sure I do, Elias replied. It helps a little. A little, she repeated millions of times. That night, Lyris made a choice. She began writing a report unlike any her species had seen before. Not charts. Not scores. Stories. She described Elias, not by name, but by pattern. A human who failed, rested, tried again. A human who helped without calculation. A human who accepted uncertainty and moved forward anyway. She concluded with a statement that would cause confusion. Humans were not optimized for control. They were optimized for recovery. When Elias woke the next morning, Lyris looked different. Not physically, but her posture was less rigid. Her eyes lingered longer.
I submitted my report, she said. And? He asked.
They will not like it, she said. He smiled faintly. Story of our lives. She watched him gather his things. I included a recommendation, she said. For what? He asked. For patience, she replied. As Elias left the room, unaware of how close humanity was to being quietly erased from galactic importance, Lyris stood alone. She had crossed a line. She was no longer just observing humans. She was defending them. And she knew the council would ask her one question next. Why? She already had the answer. Because humans kept going, even when no one was watching. The response from the council arrived sooner than Lyris expected. It did not come with anger. It did not come with threats. That worried her more. She read the message while Elias was in the shower. Her eyes moved quickly, translating dense meaning faster than any human system could. The council acknowledged her report. They questioned it. They requested clarification. And finally, they issued a directive. She was to appear before them, remotely, immediately. Lyris sat on her bed, perfectly still. This was not punishment. Not yet. This was something worse. This was evaluation of the evaluator. When Elias came out, towel over his shoulder, he noticed her posture. You okay? He asked. She replied. That answer was technically true and emotionally incomplete.
I have a meeting, she said. Oh, like a serious one?
He asked. Yes, he nodded. Good luck. The words landed. Strangely, luck was not a recognized variable in her culture. But humans used it often, especially when outcomes were uncertain. She activated the connection. The room filled with light, and 3 figures appeared as holographic forms, tall, abstract. Their features were deliberately neutral, designed to reduce emotional interpretation. The Council. Observer Lyris, one of them said. Your report deviates significantly from established metrics. Yes, Lyris replied.
You described humans using anecdotal evidence, another said. This is inefficient. Efficiency is not the correct measure, Lyris said calmly.
A pause followed.
That assertion is unsupported,
the first council member said. Lyris did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She simply transmitted additional data. Not numbers, moments. A human holding a door. A human sharing food. A human failing and returning the next day.
Your examples are trivial, the council said. Individually, Lyris replied.
Yes. Collectively? Another asked. They form a system, she said. One without central control. That is a weakness, the council replied. It is a strength, Lyris said. It cannot be removed by targeting a single point. Silence stretched. Your emotional attachment is evident, the council said. Lyris hesitated. Yes, she said. That compromises objectivity, they replied. No, she said.
It expands perspective. The council exchanged signals too complex for human understanding. We will decide, they said.
Remain available. The connection ended. Lyris exhaled slowly. She had done what she could. Elias returned to the room, backpack on, ready for class. So, he asked lightly, did you convince Space Headquarters that we're awesome? She looked at him. I do not know, she said. He shrugged. Fair. As days passed, something changed on campus. More aliens arrived. Not as students. As observers, they did not interact. They watched. They recorded. They stood in groups, silent and unreadable. Humans noticed. Whispers spread. Elias noticed the tension. He noticed how people smiled less easily. How jokes felt forced. Is this because of us? He asked Lyris one night. In part, she replied. That's not great, he said.
No, she agreed. The council sent another message.
Humanity's evaluation was entering final review. This was not dramatic. No announcements. No warnings. Just quiet judgment. Lyris walked the campus alone that evening, and she watched humans in their natural state. Arguing. Laughing. Helping. Failing. None of them knew they were being measured. That night, Elias stayed up late again. He was nervous. He did not say why, but Lyris could see it. You are distressed, she said. Just life stuff, he replied. She sat beside him.
You do not know what will happen,
she said.
No,
he replied. But that's normal. How do you accept that? She asked. He thought for a moment. Because worrying doesn't change it. That is illogical, she said. Yeah, he smiled. But it works. The next morning, the council contacted her again. Final decision pending. One final clarification required. A simple question. If forced to choose, the council asked, would you align yourself with humanity? Lyris did not answer immediately. Alignment was permanent. It meant loss of neutrality. It meant responsibility. She looked at Elias across the room. He was half asleep, struggling with his shoes, mumbling to himself. He looked ordinary, and that was the point.
Yes, Lyris said.
The council was silent for a long time. Explain, they demanded. Humans do not seek dominance, she said. They seek continuity. They survive not by control, but by connection. They will endure when optimized systems fail. That is speculation, the council said.
It is observation, she replied. The connection ended again.
Elias left for class, unaware of what had just happened. Hours passed. Then the message arrived. Humanity would not be deprioritized. They would not be elevated. They would be watched closely, with interest. It was not a victory, but it was not an ending. Lyris sat in silence, absorbing the outcome. She had changed nothing overnight, but she had delayed erasure. That evening, Elias returned and noticed her expression. That bad? He asked. No, she said. He smiled, relieved. Nice. She looked at him. You were part of my answer, she said. He frowned. To what question? She considered telling him everything. She did not. Instead, she said, why do humans keep going, even when success is unlikely? He thought for a long time. Because stopping guarantees failure, he said finally. She recorded that, not on a device, in herself. The observers remained on campus. But now, they did something new. They asked questions, not of leaders. Of students, of workers, of people like Elias. And humans answered. Not perfectly, not efficiently, but honestly. And for the first time, the galaxy began to realize something unsettling. Humans did not wait to be important. They acted like they already were. And that quiet confidence was far more dangerous than ambition. Lyra stood at the window that night, watching lights flicker across campus. Tomorrow, she would make another choice. One that had nothing to do with reports or councils. One that would change her life completely. She did not regret the first one. She doubted she would regret the next, because she had learned something essential. Humanity did not need approval to matter. They just needed time. The decision did not arrive with noise. No alarms, no announcements, no dramatic message sent across the sky. Life continued. That, Lyris realized, was how humans survived most important moments. Quietly, she woke before Elias, as usual, and sat by the window. The campus looked the same. Students hurried. Birds rested on railings. Someone laughed in the distance. Nothing looked different. Everything was. Her communicator activated with a soft signal. A final message from the council. Observer Lyris was released from evaluative duty. Her role was complete. She was free to return. Or remain. The choice was hers. Lyris stared at the words for a long time. Freedom was a strange concept. Her species valued structure. Purpose was assigned, not chosen. Remaining without directive was considered wasteful. But humans wasted time constantly, and somehow they built entire lives from it. Elias stirred in his sleep, rolled over, and knocked his book onto the floor. He groaned, half awake. I meant to finish that. Lyris picked it up and placed it neatly on his desk. You can still finish it, she said softly. He blinked, confused. Oh, morning. Good morning, she replied.
He sat up, rubbing his eyes. You look
different, I am, she said. That caught his attention. What happened? He asked. My assignment has ended, she said. Oh, he said slowly. So, you're leaving? I could, she replied. The word sat between them. Elias nodded, forcing a smile. Makes sense. You did your thing. Yes, she said. And I regret nothing. He laughed quietly. That's good. But something in his shoulders sagged. Humans were very bad at hiding disappointment. Lyris watched him gather his things for class. He moved slower than usual, less clumsy, but more tired. You do not want me to leave, she said. He froze. That's not, he stopped. Yeah, I don't, she tilted her head. Why? He shrugged. Because living with you changed things, made me think more. Notice stuff. She considered that. So did living with you, she said. He smiled. Guess we're even. After he left, Lyris walked the campus one last time. She visited places she had only observed before. The cafeteria, the library, the volunteer center. No one treated her like a subject now. They treated her like a person. Someone waved. Someone asked if she needed help.
Someone offered her a seat. No obligation.
No directive. Just choice. That evening, Elias returned to find the room unusually quiet. Lyris stood in the center, her single bag at her feet. You decided, he said softly. Yes, she replied. He nodded. Okay. She watched his face carefully. "I am staying," she said. He blinked.
Wait? What? "I have requested transfer to student status," she said.
"Here." His mouth opened, closed, opened again. "You're serious?" "Yes," she said.
I want to learn as humans do.
"By living." He laughed, then stopped, unsure if it was real.
You don't regret it? He asked. No, she said.
"I regret nothing." They stood there for a moment, letting the reality settle. Life did not suddenly become easier. Classes were still hard. Elias still failed sometimes. Lyra still struggled with emotions that had no clear rules. But something had changed. The observers left. The council did not intervene. Instead, small things began to shift across the galaxy. Human methods were studied, not their weapons, their habits, their resilience, their ability to rebuild without instruction. Humans were not labeled powerful. They were labeled persistent. Months passed. Elias graduated. Lyra stayed. Not as a symbol. Not as an ambassador. Just as a student who learned how to laugh, how to fail, how to care. Years later, when historians looked back, they would struggle to identify the moment humanity's path changed. There was no treaty. No conquest. Just a shared room. A small decision. And an alien girl who learned that humanity's greatest strength was not what they achieved, but that they kept going, together, and regretted nothing.